My sister and I are in the process of restoring my 1949 Studebaker 2R5 half-ton pickup. And today I wanted to take a video installing brake shoes on my rear drum brakes. And so what you have before here is the backing plate, this whole plate right here. There's the wheel cylinder for the brake system. Inside each of the wheel cylinders you have a little tab like that fits the brake shoes, and so you got to make sure those are turned properly so that when your brake shoes in there they can slide into there and fit inside of this rubber boot right there. So just keep that in mind, make sure they're lined up. In addition, you have the eccentric here, this is the parking brake cable right here, and this is called the anchor block, and this is where the bottom of the brake shoes connect down here on this anchor block. I also wanted to point out that on each of the eccentrics there I've got some spring washers, and I just wanted to talk about them because the book doesn't really give you a good understanding of how those washers mount. And so I want to start on this rear one here, which is where the short shoe goes, and here in a second we're going to mount the parking brake lever to that. But it wasn't real clear which way this spring washer went, and as you can see, it's a little, almost like a little cup, and it's not easy to find. It's part number 182673, so if you ever get them, make sure you keep them and don't lose them. But the reason I decided that the bottom part went against the shoe is because when I looked at the brake shoe itself, I could see that it had a recess in here where this fit over the eccentric, and the only way this washer would fit properly is if I had the bottom of it against that. So in that case, the bottom goes out, and that's how I put it on the eccentric there. For the other eccentric, I have two washers, a plain washer and a spring washer. Spring washer kind of looks like this. You can see the curves in it, and this part number is 521413. It goes on first on the eccentric. And the next washer is a flat washer. It's a very thin washer, and it's important to understand that because here in a second we're going to be using another washer on the outside of that, and that washer we're going to be using outside is a whole lot thicker. So this thin washer is supposed to be thin. If you try to go with a thicker washer, you're probably not going to be able to get your brake shoe mounted to your eccentric. So for this plain washer here, part number for it was 524025, and I just wanted to point out how thin it was. So that slides on right there. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and connect the parking brake lever, which is this one right here. It's side specific. You have left side and right side. For the left side, which is what we're doing today, this part number is 524073, and for the right side it's 524072. This is where the parking brake cable here connects, and then this mounts on this pivot right here to your brake shoe. And so it actually mounts to the short shoe. The short shoe again goes on the rear, and to mount the parking brake lever, what you want to do is go ahead and take this tab, and it goes inside of this hole right here. Put that in there, rotate it over, and then what you'll see is there is a slot right there where you can put a clip. And so we have a washer retaining spring for that, and that's what that looks like. Again, those are also hard to find, so take care of them, don't lose them. If you get them, keep them aside. But those go slip over right here, and you're going to need a little screwdriver to help you out. You have to lift up this center tab and then catch it onto that slot in there, and then you're just going to have to push it forward until you hear it snap. And so there, your park brake lever is now connected to that. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and mount this shoe. I'm going to slide the park brake lever forward, and this slot right here is where the eccentric goes over the eccentric, and then the bottom here goes into your anchor block. So I'll put in your anchor block, slide over the eccentric, slide it into my wheel cylinder. I made sure that that slot was lined up with the shoe, and there's the eccentric. And what I'm going to use is that thick washer that I was just talking about earlier, and that's this one right here. It is a part number 673910. It slides over the eccentric right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get us what they call a C washer, or a clip is what I would call it, and it actually slides over right here. You want to take the ends right here and you want to bend them in so that it doesn't slide off of that eccentric. So now your rear brake shoe is secured with the parking lever. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and put my forward shoe on, which also has the self-adjusting device that I've talked about earlier. And then I'm also going to put in the anchor spring, which looks like this. And for me, what I've discovered is that it's easier for me to go ahead and hook the anchor spring in here, connect it into this, then take the bottom of my shoe and put it in my anchor block down here, and then go ahead and rotate it up and slide that in up here so then I have my shoes. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and connect to this shoe right here. Again, I'm going to have that thick washer right there, which is again part number 673910. Slide that over the eccentric. I have my C washer / clip, same part number 185483 is the other side. I'm going to slide that over. And squeeze that on. You have to kind of push in a little bit on the shoe because you got that washer spring on the back side which pushes out. And so you push it enough to get that C washer going into the slot there. So there we have that. And again, you got to bend the ends of the C washer down so that it will not come off here. The next thing I want to put on there is the shoe operating link, which is this piece right here. It actually goes from this side over to here, connects into the park brake lever here, and so you slide that in, slide that up, and that's how it sits. The next thing is I want to put in the shoe return spring. The shoe return spring actually gets connected here behind the park brake lever and then gets connected over to here. And so the way we'll do that is we'll run that behind her. You can see where that's connected. And then we'll take a pair of vice grips and I'll use that to grab hold of that spring and try to get it into this slot right here. So there it went into there. Got the springs down here. Everything there, park brake lever is working. What we want to do now is we want to take and connect the park brake cable to that. So we'll pull down the spring like this. Pull out of the spring, hook it in, slide that in. Make sure it works. We are now ready pretty much to put the brake drum on and then go into adjusting the brakes for operation. Hopefully this will help somebody else out there. Thank you very much, and bye.